As someone who's watched The Big Bang Theory more times than I care to admit, I can quote Sheldon's roommate agreement clauses by heart, mimic Howard's mom's iconic yell with uncanny accuracy, and debate the physics behind Leonard and Sheldon's whiteboard scrawls for hours. I even endured the earliest seasons of young Sheldon, hoping they'd eventually find their groove, which, begrudgingly, they did. So when HBO Max announced their latest spin-off, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, my emotions were a confusing mix of excitement, dread, and more confusion. I mean, Stuart, really? Let's set the record straight. I love Stuart Bloom. He's a beautifully awkward, occasionally tragic, comic book store owner who somehow survived 12 seasons of intellectual chaos without ever losing his sweet, slightly depressed charm. Kevin Sussman played him with just the right blend of deadpan delivery and quiet pathos. In a universe full of physicists, engineers, and one extremely judgmental aerospace medical doctor's mom, Stuart was our grounded guide. He wore his loneliness like a threadbare cardigan, but he never gave up. He just quietly restocked the action figures, adjusted the lighting in the back issues section, and hoped someone would ask him to hang out. But that's the thing. Stuart worked because he wasn't the center of the universe. He was a side character. A reminder that not everyone is a Nobel laureate or a walking DSM-5 diagnosis. He was us. The fan. The observer. The guy who knew Spider-Man's backstory better than his own. Now HBO Max wants to make him the hero. And not just any hero, apparently, the hero who has to save the universe. That's the actual title. Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. It's bold, it's weird, and it makes me incredibly nervous. From what little has been leaked, the plot sounds like someone took Guardians of the Galaxy, filtered it through a Comic-Con fever dream, and then sprinkled in some sad boy humor for good measure. The show apparently kicks off with Stuart stumbling on a mysterious artifact in a long-forgotten box of 90s comics. Cue a dimensional rift, a talking raccoon-like sidekick, not voiced by Bradley Cooper, unfortunately, and a universe-threatening villain who looks suspiciously like Sheldon in a Doctor Doom costume. On paper, this could be awesome. A sci-fi comedy with Stuart in the lead? That's fresh, unexpected, and absolutely bizarre. But the Big Bang Theory universe was always anchored in relatively realistic science, even if it was exaggerated for sitcom effect. What happens when we toss Stuart into intergalactic peril? Will the heart of the character survive a leap into full-blown genre parody? Or are we about to witness a beloved underdog completely overshadowed by over-the-top spectacle? My biggest fear is that the show will misunderstand what made Stuart work. He wasn't the punchline, he was the silence between punchlines. The guy who reminded us that not everyone in a geek world is confident or socially successful. He was lonely, sure, but he had layers. He was artistic, thoughtful, and surprisingly insightful when it came to human emotion. I worry that Stuart Fails to Save the Universe might reduce him to a caricature. The sad sack loser who gets kicked around the galaxy for laughs. And don't even get me started on the tone. Word is, the showrunners are aiming for a meta approach. Lots of self-aware references, fourth wall breaks, and guest appearances from alternate universe versions of Big Bang characters. That might sound fun, but it could also become gimmicky fast. Sheldon with a goatee from Universe Zeta? Leonard as an evil warlord? Penny as a space bounty hunter with laser heels? Okay, actually, that one sounds cool. But still, there's a fine line between clever and cringe. It doesn't help that HBO Max has a spotty track record with spin-offs. For every Peacemaker, there's a Velma. High concept and beloved IP don't guarantee good writing. And when they announced that the showrunner is a self-described, avant-garde meme theorist, I spat out my coffee. I want clever storytelling, not an ironic space opera written like a Reddit thread. That said, part of me is still hopeful, because Stuart deserves a win. This is a guy who lived in the shadow of nerd royalty. He got kicked out of his own comic book store, became Raj's accidental roommate, got rejected more times than Leonard's tenure proposals, and still managed to smile through it all. If there's anyone who could stumble into saving the universe by accident, it's him. And let's be real, the multiverse is trendy right now. If Marvel can give us a tree with a vocabulary of 3 words, maybe HBO Max can give us a show where Stuart's dry wit and encyclopedic knowledge of B-movie science fiction saves a collapsing dimension. Maybe the weirdness will work. Maybe Stuart's quiet charm will finally get the spotlight it's always deserved. I just hope they don't forget what made him lovable in the first place. Let him be awkward. Let him be vulnerable. Let him wear too many layers and make uncomfortable eye contact with alien warlords. But don't make him into a quippy space badass or a walking meme. Let him win because he's Stuart, not in spite of it. So yeah, I'm nervous. Nervous like Raj on a first date. Nervous like Leonard at Penny's family reunion. Nervous like Howard when someone mentions zero-gravity toilets. But I'll still tune in on premiere night, popcorn in hand, cardigan draped across my shoulders, hoping, just hoping, that HBO Max knows what they're doing. Because if Stuart does save the universe, I want to be there to see it. Would you like this adapted into a blog post format, or are you thinking of pitching it somewhere, Reddit, fan site, etc.? I can help tweak tone and structure depending on the platform.